darkness of love and hope, a pot of gold and a newsman's rope. Is this a trap that's set for me, or an honest opportunity? Is it magic or is it me, or influence of society? Can't believe all the things I see, illusions of reality. God above hears my prayers and sends me love. Is there actually a devil below who clouds my thoughts with his show? Is it magic or is it me, or influence of society? Can't believe all the things I see, illusions of reality. I'll care about the race if I can win with the faster pace. Is it magic or is it me, or influence of society? Can't believe all the things I see, illusions of reality. People as far as I can see, selfish promotes equality, and the ones we tend to believe are loaded with hypocrisy. Is it magic or is it me, or influence of society? Can't believe all the things I see, illusions of reality. Alright, well, that's Illusions of Reality, and I actually wrote that for the Dragon Novellas novel series. Book 2 is where that will be introduced. I like to write a whole bunch of songs for all of my books. My goal is to be that author who writes his own music and does some of his own score work. Of course, I'll never compete with Williams, where, man, that guy's great. But I do enjoy writing my own tunes, and it's one of those things that I've applied the Go process to. I love my 12-string. Do need a new one, unfortunately. If you look closely, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but my frets are pretty darn worn down. It's almost violin style, because violin doesn't have a fret. And I love the 12 strings where I can really get my fingers smooth. So, but that song will be played live at the Draconian Journeys, which we are heavily promoting right now. You'll start seeing more of it in this coming February edition of the Dragonite Syndicate here in Peoria. And we have some great speakers ready to come. First off, we're going to start off with Raymond, article syndicate writer for the Dragonite Syndicate. Awesome little kid. I have to agree, he's a lot like me. I trained him, so I better like who he is because he's so much like me. And that's one thing about parents, is I think we need to train our kids to be like us. So before they become like us, we need to be the best us as possible. So I just love watching Raymond grow, what he's doing. He actually had to earn an email address, but once he got one, I monitor it very closely, don't worry. But the first thing he did is he created an account at Amazon to publish his book. And he didn't need any help from me. He wrote the book. Of course, it's a 10-year-old book. However, he went through all the steps, and it probably took him 2 or 3 weeks to figure out how to do it. But in the end, he did it. And then that was about the time the first Dragonite Syndicate was coming out. And he said, "Dad, I want to write as a columnist, just like you and Belle." Like, dude, you've already proved yourself. You know how to set a goal. You know how to accomplish it. And that is what we are trying to promote with Dragonites.org and the Dragonite Syndicate and the goal process, of course. So he earned that spot. It just wasn't given to him because Daddy started the corporation. No, he earned it. And I really thought a lot about doing this. But his articles are all about all the experiences he has, all the things he's learning, all the failures he's going to go through as well in the process of learning. The other speaker is going to be Belle. Of course, her article in the Syndicate is going out to meet people, find their stories, hear their success stories, hear their struggles. How did they work through them and accomplish those? So Belle has a very motivational type of column that she writes as well. And it's been a lot of fun getting out to meet these people. We met Victor, we've met Matt with the Lake Pleasant tours, and this coming edition for February, we're excited to have an article from a man who designed feminine products, and several decades ago, where men really didn't do women's stuff. I don't know if they still do, but anyway, we're excited for Mike's. And last month, Belle got to write about Kimberly, who was an engineer in a men's industry. So this is kind of a flip-flop. We're really excited for Belle's articles and for her to speak at the Draconian Journeys. As well, from the very first issue of the Dragon Eye Syndicate, you can still go back and read the article with Françoise Marcel. She was born in a Japanese internment camp back in World War II, and she was a prisoner, completely uneducated and malnourished the first 4 years of being alive. And her book, actually, I think I have that here, just a second. Awesome, I do. Hold to your dreams. I hope the camera doesn't read it backwards for you, but it might. So, amazing book. She will be one of our speakers as well, and she will talk about the experiences she had going back to the Netherlands after the war was over and Indonesia didn't want them there. But then going back to the Netherlands, they weren't wanted there either, even though it was their home country. It just, after the war, there was no housing, nowhere to live, so they had to live with a whole bunch of people in small houses because the Germans had bombed most of the residential areas. Anyway, awesome book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love working with Françoise to just hear her story. It was a fun interview with her. Another speaker was actually this last month, who was on the cover of it, is David Burley. I had to make sure I didn't have the book upside down. So I've done that before. I was at a network meeting, and I stood up, and I was showing the magazine. Not a single person said a word about it, and I looked at it to point at the top, and I realized that's upside down. So I fixed it. So David Burling, U.S. Joint Strike Fighter for the U.S. Air Force. And you can read his article online as well, or you can get his book, Just Living the Dream. So he will be one of the speakers, and how he has come back from an airplane crash to flying a plane again and being on the Paralympic team for the U.S. Olympics. And that is an awesome story. Great person to know, great person to meet, somebody that's incredibly inspiring. Just being around with him. And the book is amazing. And I even say in the article, his wife did a lot of writing this book. She's just as amazing to be able to go through it, work through it. And, I give them full support in their endeavors. They've overcome so many things that none of us would wish on anybody else. So I love that. And of course, for the Draconian Journeys, I'll be one of the speakers as well, talking about my experience, mostly in coaching probably, and what it took to create the goal process, and Dragon Eye Studios and Institute Inc. So hopefully I can entertain you with a little guitar. I hope you like that song. There are a lot of illusions of reality. How many times do we see things that we think are real, but they're not? And then when we see opportunities, we think it's fake, but it's actually legit. And then when we look back on it, we're like, man, I really could have and should have done that. The great thing with the goal process is it helps us to identify what our wants are, what's most important. It helps us to say, I need to put my time here. I need to put my emphasis here. Well, guess what? I want to do this, but I do not have the resource. So then what do I do next? What do I do next? As soon as I hit a roadblock, what is next? You can constantly be working on something, because your self-esteem is not stagnant. If it is not going up, it is going down. And there's no way around that. No matter how much you've accomplished, if you are not progressing, you are going to start feeling lesser of yourself, and that's not a good thing. So the goal process is very important for many aspects, and I just look forward to sharing this with you and having the Draconian Journeys coming up. That's April 26th, and that will be at the Copper Hills Church in West Wing. So we are very, very excited to get that out, get that promoted. And Of course, I am still looking for a shareholder representative. That's written in the papers with the Securities Exchange Commission. We have to give commissions on that. So it's at the industry standard for that kind of job, and that's 10%, which is $90,000. So if you know anybody who's honest, trustworthy, motivating, fun, that can follow the goal process pretty much, have them apply at the job seekers portal at dragonize.org. I am looking for that kind of person. We are looking for people who can get out there and motivate others and help others and just be another anchor to support other people. So, of course, we don't want to be walked on or stood on or trampled over. However, because that's in the goal process too, don't let people take advantage of you, because that doesn't help you and it doesn't help them. So, you do have to stand your ground on some things and learn how to stand on the ground, not get pushed around. However, you do need to stand on that ground to also lift people up. So, in the meantime, go to dragonize.org, create your account. You can friend me. My username is DragAuth, like Dragon Author. So, I would love to see you there. Love to see you have a friend, and buy your tickets for the Draconian Journeys. And in the meantime, believe greatly, achieve greatly.